In this video, I will introduce the idea of a fractal. So roughly speaking, a fractal is a shape or design that repeats a pattern again and again and again and again, but each time it gets smaller and smaller. So no matter how much you zoom in, the pattern repeats forever. So here you see an example of a fractal tree. And if you look at the tree carefully, you can see patterns that repeat over and over. So one pattern I can see is this Y-shaped pattern. And you can see that the pattern just keeps repeating over and over. But that's the basic idea of a fractal. So in this picture, I have an example from nature that kind of captures the idea of fractals. It's a fern. And if I were to zoom in, like right here on this leaf of the fern, and the next thing I do is I'm just going to take this picture and I just rotated it. And the reason I did that was to show you that that leaf has the same shape as the original, our original fern plant. And you can see right here comparing the two. And that captures the idea of a fractal. Now we're going to do an example where we construct our very own fractal, and we're going to work on a famous example called the Cook curve. In order to construct our fractal, we need a set of instructions, and a set of instructions is going to consist of two things. The first thing is called an initiator, and that's just going to be the initial sort of geometric object we start with. And the second thing we need is something called a generator, and the generator will tell us what to do with the initiator. After that, we just repeat that process over and over and over again. So in this case, for the Cook curve, step 0, stage, which is also called stage 0, the initiator, is just a line segment. Okay, so we start with a line segment. In step 1, or stage 1, the generator tells me what to do to the line segment. What has happened here is that the middle third of the line segment is removed and it's replaced with an equilateral triangle. Okay, but the base of the triangle is also removed. And the result is the shape that we see here. So at this point, you can see that we actually have 4 copies of the initiator. So 4 smaller copies of the initiator. And what we're going to do is for each of these 4 copies, we're going to repeat this step 1. Okay, and we call these smaller copies of the initiator, we call these replicas. So we're just going to repeat the process of taking the line segment and replacing that middle third with the 2 sides of an equilateral triangle. So I'm going to start with the first replica of the initiator, this blue line segment right here. And remember the idea is that we're going to take an equilateral triangle and then we're going to remove this base. Okay, so that is the generator step on that smaller version of the initiator. And next I'm going to move over to the second line segment and I'm going to do the same thing that the generator tells me to do. So I'm going to add the 2 sides of the equilateral triangle and then get rid of the base. And now moving over to the third replica, again, we're going to repeat the process of going from the initiator line segment to the generator step. And so again, I'm going to add that those sides of the equilateral triangle and remove the base. And finally, we are at the 4th replica of this line segment. And we repeat the process of removing that middle third, adding the sides of the equilateral triangle. And here is the result of stage 2. And if I draw this stage in one color for you, so now I've written it back in the black color, this is basically what it would look like. Okay, and so if we were to do step 3 or stage 3, That would be difficult for me to draw. This is about the extent of my drawing skills. But fortunately, our textbook has has made a drawing for us, and this is what stage 3 would look like. Okay, and here's what stage 4 would look like. So if we continued the process on this ever diminishing scale, this is what stage 4 looks like. And so this process would repeat forever. We would continue going stage 5, stage 6, stage 7 for infinity. And that's what makes this a fractal. So no matter how much you zoomed in, you would see this same basic pattern.